I am recording.
I
Ba,
am
ba, ba.
recording. Ba, ba, ba. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 628th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, Steve. With me is Bobby.
Hey, what's going on? It's a nice 75 degrees here right now, which is cooler than it has been all week. But from what I've heard, nothing compared to how hot it is there in Minnesota right now.
Nobody wants to hear it, Bobby. Keep your temperatures to yourself.
It's been kind of hot here.
Oh,
but
it's been kind of
I
hot.
can't complain.
75. I'm going to die. I'm on the ocean where it cools. Greg also here.
I am also here. This is coming out on your birthday, so happy birthday, Steve.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
coming out on my birthday.
Happy birthday. You turned the ripe age of something. I forgot.
Yeah, something.
Something in the somewhere between 18 and 99. It's somewhere in that range.
Perfect. I like how ominous it is. We have some pretty non-typical Pokemon news this week, so kind of an exciting episode. There's a lot of like weird little things that have
A
happened.
lot of weird things are happening.
But because our episodes have continued to start with Pokemon Sleep, we're going to start with Pokemon Sleep, which we recorded last week's episode a little bit early. I think it was because there was a community day.
There's a community day.
And so we didn't find out what day 7 was of the 7 days of Pokemon Sleep anniversary, which overall has been a very good anniversary. It was 2 weeks. They gave everyone 800 free gems. They gave everyone extra incense. There was the 6-day get your main skill seed and your points and a lot of free stuff. They have given more free stuff in one day in this game than Niantic has given in 8 years of whatever Pokemon Go is. But on the show, I said I wonder, or I thought that day 7 was going to be a new island because that kind of seems like the thing that would get people excited. And I don't think anyone predicted what day 7 was going to be. Which was they are bringing ribbons to Pokemon Sleep. They are going to feature the Good Night Ribbon. It is meant to help you feel closer to your helper Pokemon. We plan to add it in an update in early August. If you don't know what a Good Night Ribbon is, I'm here to tell you.
That's what we're here for.
Helper Pokemon that can now get a Good Night Ribbon based on the amount of sleeping time you've shared. You can see the Pokemon's Good Night Ribbon along with its effects and your shared sleep time on the Pokemon details screen. From the home screen, tap the Pokemon box, then tap the individual Pokemon. Getting a Good Night Ribbon will raise some stats of the helping Pokemon. The effect it has on the stats depends on which of the 4 levels of the Good Night Ribbon it is. You know what's funny is Unite also have ribbons. You can have the, was it like green, then blue, then
Green, blue, and then
purple?
gold, I think.
Oh, gold.
I hear the main series has ribbons too.
Yeah,
So
except
No,
for black and
that
white.
is not true. That's a rumor.
They were like, we forgot all about ribbons from Gen 4 to Gen 6. Just skipped everything. They are unlocked based on the amount of sleeping time shared with your Pokemon. After you reach the 3rd level of a ribbon, you will get a special profile icon of that Pokemon. That's really cool. I actually didn't read that the first time. In addition, if a helper Pokemon is still able to evolve, then it will get additional boosts to its helping stats. With the effects of the Good Night Ribbon, it might be easier to include unevolved Pokemon that couldn't help out as much before on your team. The number of times a Pokemon can evolve depend on which Pokemon are included in Pokemon Sleep. I think they're saying that because Annihilate is not in the game, so your Primate can't get the unevolved benefits because Annihilate just doesn't exist right now. There's probably other Pokemon that matter for, but
Yeah.
I definitely know Primeape is in the game.
Well, probably like other Pokemon that don't have baby Pokemon yet in the game. I mean, there's just levels, right, where there isn't the evolution to go to. I don't know what baby Pokemon are in the game actually, but
I think there are quite a few babies, but they can all evolve. Riolu, Cleffa, Eagly.
yeah, I guess everything in there already has the baby Pokemon in there with it, doesn't
I
it?
can't think of a baby that's not in there.
Just Toxel, but because
Toxel.
Toxtricity's not in,
But Toxtricity isn't in it.
not in yet,
Mantike,
so
technically, I guess, isn't in.
Mantine,
That's a baby.
Mantine.
I think.
Okay, well, never mind my comment then.
Okay. Ribbon 1, you need 200 hours of sleep. That will increase your carry limit by 1. Ribbon 2, you need 500 hours of sleep with that specific Pokemon, I should say. It will increase your carry limit of 2 if a Pokemon is can still evolve. For example, Pikachu helping frequency is shortened by 5%. If a Pokemon can evolve twice, example Pichu, the helping frequency is shortened by 11%. Once you hit 1,000 hours, your carry limit will be +3, and then you will get that special profile icon of said Pokemon. And then if you have 2,000 hours of sleeping time shared, I don't know if this is retroactive. I would assume so, since they said
It would
better
be
be.
weird if it wasn't.
yeah, they do say like you can currently check it by going to I literally read it 5 minutes ago. Level 4 is 2,000 hours of sleep, carry limit another +2, and then if a Pokemon can still evolve, like Pikachu, you will have a 7%. It's 7%, but they're adding the 5%, so it's a total of 12% shorter. And then if it's a Pichu, it is 25% shorter. People already did the math.
Right.
The number one Pokemon this matters for the most, if you want to min max, is Onix. If you don't evolve Onix to Steelix, it will technically outperform Steelix, but Onix is a rock type Pokemon in the game, and Steelix is a steel type Pokemon in the game. So you would keep Onix at Taupe Hollow, and you would not use Steelix anywhere because there's not a Steel Island yet.
And I also don't have a Nonix, so great. I guess Taupe Hollow is where I'm going if I want to.
Yeah, there was also Vigoroth technically is faster than Slacking, but Slacking has more ingredient power or something. There was an argument to keep your Vigoroth a Vigoroth. So this makes Vigoroth better. But Onix is the one that technically is like, if you are min-maxing, then do not evolve your Onix and sleep with your Onix for 2,000 hours and then get the ribbon on it. I would assume the majority of people are just going to ribbon a Pokemon they like, and I think that is fine. Your carry limit going up is still beneficial.
Do you choose or do they just get it?
Yeah,
It just gets
They
it,
just
right?
get
It's
it,
almost
right?
it's just like almost like leveling it, right? You get it to level 30 and you get extra stuff, right? You get this many sleep hours with it, and you get
Because my
extra.
Butterfree's at 2,500 hours. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming that just happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to appear. They're like,
would
hey,
think so.
good job, Butterfree.
So the thing your Butterfree would get is a carry limit of 6, 7, 6, 8. It would have a carry limit of 8, but no helping bonus because it's evolved.
Yeah,
right.
But you would get that profile icon.
My Charizard is 1,255. Good job, Charizard.
I haven't
Can't
even
see the ribbon. Like it's not on the Pokemon. It's only in the detail screen, right? So it's not like it's on it when it's in the.
Oh, I hope that they like pin a ribbon on the Pokemon that is like standing in the field.
I mean, they have pinned ribbons in Pokemon Go, of all places.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, in okay, the ribbons in Pokemon Go. Also, yeah, I guess you're right. There are ribbons in Pokemon Go. I love when when you don't look up where the ribbon is going to end up being.
Yeah.
It's some of them are very weird places, and I'm like, why? Why did you put it there?
The choices they make of where to slap the ribbon are really great. Like Salazzle is like right on her head.
Yeah.
Like you could put it on her. She has like a whole body and chest, but they were like, nope, we're gonna slap it right on her forehead.
Same with Poplio. Like Poplio has a whole neck thing that it could literally be on. Nope, right there on
Right
the
on the
forehead.
head.
Right on the forehead of
Right
Poplio.
there.
It might be really one of the best things Niantic has done is
the random placement of ribbons. I think there's a committee that was like, all right, we have this Pokemon. Where's the weirdest place we can stick this ribbon? We're taking votes.
Job at Niantic was to place the ribbon for 600 plus Pokemon. I think this is really cool. I think that like there hasn't been any like nerfs that I can think of, obvious nerfs or intentional nerfs in Pokemon Sleep that is like punishing us for playing. There has been like the bug fixes of like people trying to like hack their plus Pikachu to max out the level or whatever. Like, yes, there's that, but like I feel like every change or feature they've added to the game has just benefited players for playing. Like, thank you for playing. We're making your experience playing more enjoyable. So I think this is really cool. I do think there's like, I don't want to say it's like a nerf, but I do think it does change some people's strategies. For example, I have seen it where people will put the berry Pokemon on their team before they go to bed. So like that'd be like a Meganium or a Typhlosion or whatever. And then in the morning when the berry Pokemon are all collected, they are swapped out for ingredients. And then the ingredient Pokemon run through the day. And then you get back to nighttime. And then you swap them back out for berries to like optimize it. Because once ingredient Pokemon fill up, they kind of fill up. And then once berry Pokemon fill up, you get the like sneaky snacking or whatever, which is the berry Pokemon are good at getting berries, so you would get more sneaky snacking.
Right.
This would, in some instances, discourage that if you are looking to get the ribbon on the Pokemon and you are frequently switching out teams, which nothing wrong with switching out teams. It would just, you just have to plan a lot better of like, okay, how am I going to get this energy back? Am I going to assign it the next night? Am I going to use pillows? Am I... How am I getting the energy back? But what a cool surprise after a year to be like, yeah, let's add ribbons.
Yeah. And yeah, it's got to be retroactive because that would be wild to like have done all this over the last year and then it's just starting over. So I think it is cool to like, you'll automatically see the ribbon with these certain Pokemon who you have been like had a lot of, sleep with over the last year, which is cool. Just a nice little something extra there for what you've been doing, but not toward anything. And now it's giving you a little extra something.
Yeah, I do know the current meta is looking for Pokemon that have like the same ingredient. So for example, like with Meowscarada, you might want all potatoes, or with Beware, you would want all corn. And that is the current meta, and that's not like how the game started. So I wonder if there's going to be like a change in the future. I don't think the ribbons is like changing the meta at all. I just think
overpower that.
I just think the ribbons is like a nice thing that rewards you for playing a lot. But I do wonder if like there's a Pokemon or an ability or something else they could add to the game that would like shake up or change the meta. Like, remember when the game first started, like Psyduck was a terrible Pokemon, and about like 6 months into the game, Golduck is apparently one of the best Pokemon that you could have, only if you have a very specific Golduck.
The phrase, I'm still trying to get over the phrase, the Pokemon Sleep meta. That is just not sitting well with me right now, and I am taking a personal day to recover.
I think the great thing, it's probably similar to Pokemon Go in a sense. The great thing about it is you don't have to like look at charts or to like look up stuff to enjoy Pokemon Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You can just play it and it's fine. And for the most part, like the game's not asking a lot of you.
Yeah.
And I've seen personally, like I also, for the record, I've given this game $100 in the last year because it's $50 for the first 6 months and then $50 for the second 6 months. And I just saw that the third charge of $50 will be on August 3rd for me for the next 6 months.
Are you going to? You have time to rethink. This is the moment. This is when you can go in and say, you know what? No, I can spend $50 elsewhere.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, Greg, because I did consider canceling it. Not because I don't enjoy the game or like I'm done with it, but I have seen so many free-to-play players, yourself included, Greg, get to similar levels.
Yeah, I'm at 55.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can definitely whale in this game. You can definitely drop money, buy your whistles, buy your Poke Biscuits, catch you could literally probably catch everything every single night to like get more candy and then throw those Pokemon away to get even more candy and get better Pokemon faster, because like once you get 10 of a Pokemon, the 11th and on are like slightly better. And then once you get, I think it's like, is it 30 or is it 40? Then you're like 2 golden permanent instead of 1 golden permanent, and at 10. Like you could definitely whale. And I know there are people in Slack, our Slack community. If you want to join Patreon, there's probably an ad somewhere in this episode to tell you to join Patreon.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in this episode. I know there are people in the Slack community that spend way more money than me, because I really give this game, I just give this game the $10 a month or whatever for the pass. And I'll see them post like, oh, I'm master rank 17. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm master rank 16. And I definitely didn't spend.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not to like make those people feel bad or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they'll feel bad. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. What I am just saying is that you're not at like this huge disadvantage because you didn't give the game money. Mm-hmm. Like you might be like, I wish I really could have caught that Sprigatito today. But the thing about Pokemon Sleep is that Sprigatito will come back tomorrow.
It'll come
or
back
the next day.
Mm-hmm. I got a Florigato out of nowhere, just showed up. I'm like, hey, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking, just as a sidebar, speaking of canceling your memberships, anybody who pays for Pokemon Unite, you might want to reconsider that at the end of August.
Oh, because they're changing that membership is the rumor?
For the worse. Like really, really. If what has been discovered is true, and it generally is, because we're a month out, it's bad.
Well, the meta of the Pokemon Unite meta of the subscription was to subscribe mid-month, get your free costume. The next month rolls over, get your second costume, cancel. Wait 30 days and then resubscribe mid. So really, you could get a year worth of costumes if you planned it out.
Well, guess what? Costumes are gone. So,
hey, I subscribed to my DJ Cramorant costume, and then I canceled.
Yeah,
I got what I wanted.
I would if you pay for Unite. I maybe don't after
maybe don't.
Based on what you are saying,
you may find the much worse subscription better. It is objectively worse for the same amount of money. You might want to just put that cancel in.
So in the past, it was you would get a costume if you had the subscription. Yep. Each month you would get a costume.
Yes.
So
yep.
Month rolls over, you get that second one, you cancel, and then you wait till the following month and get that costume, and it rolls over. And okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
But no
Yeah.
more.
No more hollow
Allegedly.
skins. They're allegedly. The amount of gems you are allegedly getting is being lowered. You used to get 40 a day. They're dropping it to 30. They're just and they're also one of the other things is you used to get rank protection cards. So if you were Ultra 2 and you were 1 away from going to Ultra 1, if you had a rank protection card and you lost, you wouldn't actually you wouldn't go further down, you'd stay 1 away. And apparently those are also being removed from the paid subscriptions, so that benefit protection is potentially gone. Just a bunch of stuff that they're removing. So we're at this point in the situation where we're a month out and it seems very real. But maybe review it at the end of August to be like, am I still going to pay for? Is it still the benefit? Because it's bad.
This will eventually come to sleep, like in a way where like the subscription will change in some way. And so I think the message here is review your subscriptions. Don't just let them run for months and months and months at a time.
Okay. Do y'all know what RoboKiller is on your phone?
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to.
Yeah.
I paid for that for a bit.
Did you just see what they did?
No. Oh, I
So I paid for it because you pay for a year, whatever. I was like, yeah, because when I was searching for a job, I was getting a million spam calls.
Sure.
So I'm like, fine, I'm going to pay for it. And at the time, I was like, well, a year for $39.99, that's not a terrible price.
No, I feel like when I subscribed for the year, it was like $20, but that was like 5 years ago.
Starting August 5th, $89.99.
What?
$89. $90. They didn't even almost tripled it for no reason. Like
do you remember when companies would increase the costs of their subscriptions because like COVID? That was the reason.
Yeah, because that was the reason. I mean, we can't use that anymore. Yeah, I will say this to Apple's credit. My iPhone said, "Hey, this subscription has decided to raise it to $90. Yeah. Is this something you want to do?" And I was like, hard pass, immediate cancel. Nope. Like I could justify it a little bit at the $40 range. No.
I mean, I could see somebody who is on the phone a lot that needs to answer their phone, that are like looking forward to calls. I definitely see that. Like I'm in the same predicament where when I was looking at my Pokemon Sleep subscription and I was like, maybe I cancel this. I don't know. I'm still enjoying the game. Like if I canceled it, I would still play. Obviously, it would just be like I got $50 in my pocket. I saw I had another subscription to a calendar. I use Fantastical. I've used it for a decade, and it has slowly increased its price a lot. And I use my calendar every single day. I live by my calendar. If an event is not in my calendar, it does not exist to me. Like it is. I'm just calendar blind when it comes to like, oh, I was supposed to hang out with Greg. It wasn't in my calendar. So I guess I ghosted Greg. My bad.
the thought that I wouldn't have been texting you like, hello,
that's true.
Where are you?
But now I'm like, okay, I have like 20 days to find a brand new calendar because I just don't want to pay. It's up to like $90 a year.
What?
For
really?
What?
I remember it was like 36 when they went to subscription service. It was like 36 a year. 30,
well, yeah. Well, I have like the family calendar.
Okay.
Which is like 5 accounts, but still, that's still
okay. Still adding 3 people to a calendar is not server breaking. I'm sorry. It's not. Oh, the problem is like all the server power is being eaten by AI anyways. So you created this problem because you want an AI to tell me how to fill out my own calendar. I know how to write my appointment. Thank you. I don't need you to say which doctor it is. I know my doctor. I don't need you to fill this out.
It needs to try to autofill stuff for you. Anyways, I'm like now I'm on the lookout for a new calendar app.
Well, you pay for your weather app too, don't you?
Yeah, but that's only $25 a year. Was $25 a year. That's like what, like $279 a month or something?
Less than that.
A little
right?
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it do a lot for my question has always been how much information do you actually need from your weather app? Like,
for me, it's not so much like I need it to do something. My $25 a year is like I genuinely like this developer.
Yeah. That's I get
and
that. I get that.
and I would like to see them make other apps. And if this $25 and everyone else's $25 lets this dude, because it's one dude,
Mhm.
if it lets this dude do this full time, and then he makes, I don't know, like the calorie counting app that's just as good as the weather app, like that's cool. Because I would like to see this guy make other apps
Or a calendar app.
or a calendar. Yeah, what if he started
there we go.
making a calendar?
Make me a calendar app that's as good as your weather app.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it is one of the best. It's called Carrot, not an ad or anything, but like
Brent pays for Weather Radar because he likes tracking storms, and most of those things aren't free.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I get the storm
information.
tracker in Carrot as well, which most of that stuff is not free.
Yeah, he just watches the storms roll in and then tells me while I'm at the gym, hail's coming. I'm like, I don't know what we do about it. It's an open parking lot. I'm not leaving.
Speaking of free, last bit of news before our break is there will be another growth week in Pokemon Sleep from Monday, August 5th to August 12th. All areas, doesn't matter where you go, helper Pokemon will receive 1.5 times the XP. Candies gained from the first sleep research of the day is also 1.5. So I don't know, pick an area where you would like more candy and to level up your Pokemon. And then I would maybe guess in the next week or so, we'll hear a little bit more about Suicune now that the anniversary stuff is by the time this podcast goes up, the anniversary stuff will be over. So I think they can focus on the next big event. I don't think Growth Week is like,
No.
They're unlike Niantic. The Pokemon Sleep team likes to communicate events ahead of time.
It's nice, and in app as well. We don't have to go to Twitter or Threads to understand what events are coming up.
They update their website, they update social media, they update in app. It's great. The communication. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how the Pokemon TCG market is going to crash.
Well, that's exciting.
And we are back from our break. Oh, I didn't say, if you still listen to the first 30 minutes of this podcast and you're like, maybe I should get into Pokemon Sleep, I did a whole Pokemon Sleep YouTube video. So I don't know, if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be up in the corner, it'll pop up. So you can watch that, and I tell you how you can play Pokemon Sleep so you're not feeling like you're doing something wrong. Yeah. Although you can't mess it up that bad.
No, but it did have the video does have a lot of good tips, and even though I've now been playing for a few months, it's still there were still things that I didn't realize, or that I didn't just things that I wasn't fully aware of. So I think there's a lot of good tips in there, especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah, so that'll live on YouTube forever. So I saw this on TikTok, and I was like, that's cool. And then Bobby texted me and was like, did you see this? And I was like, I did. And then I want to say, I was not hoping, but like, I really thought there would be a bunch of articles about this, or people would be talking about this, but people are not talking about this right now. But I think this is going to be a bigger story very soon. I could only find one website. Like, look, I don't want to come onto the show and be like, the source of today's news is TikTok. But I could only find one blog post or like article about this. This is Donald Papp from Hackaday, which actually, makes sense about the topic we're about to talk about. Hackaday.com. It is sealed packs of Pokemon cards give up their secrets without opening them. So even if you don't collect Pokemon cards, I think this is super, super interesting. I'll just read what was wrote here. Aaron Wayne, I believe is the person, succeeded in something he's been trying to accomplish for some time, figuring out what's inside a sealed Pokemon card pack without opening it. Also, this will not just apply to Pokemon. It's not like there's some secret here. This will apply to Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lorcana. There's a catch, however. It took buying an X-ray CT scanner off eBay, refurbishing it, calibrating it, and then putting a load of work into testing and scanning techniques. Finally combining the data with the machine learning in order to make useful decisions. It's a load of work, but Aaron succeeded by developing some genuinely novel techniques. The X-ray machine can peek inside sealed packages. And they say that it was really hard. But ultimately, the X-ray machine can see what holo rare is in a pack of Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
It doesn't see the entire card. It will see individual features at first, like they're saying like a tentacle from like a Tentacruel or something, right? Or they'll use symbols. They can also spot counterfeit cards. And then there's that's kind of it. It is that this dude bought an X-ray machine and has spent the last couple months trying to find the best way to scan a pack of Pokemon cards to then be like, oh, there's a Mewtwo in here, or there's an Executor in here, or there's a non-holo Zarina in here.
Yeah. This is especially bad for vintage because you think about like base set or fossil or jungle where there's just the one holo card in the pack, right? So you're gonna be able to see, not that easily because of all the work you have to go into doing it, but like you can see whether the pack has the holo or has a specific holo card or not, and you'll be able to do that. Now they already can weigh packs, right? Especially the vintage packs, they can weigh them. So you go to buy packs for, like, if you go to buy a vintage pack, it will usually, the seller will usually say whether it's been weighed before, and they will say whether it's a heavy pack or a light pack. A heavy pack usually contains a holographic card because they're heavier, and so you can get that understanding that way already. But this even goes the step further to where seems like you can kind of see which holographic card is in the pack, which is potentially a huge problem for people who keep vintage sealed collections.
I feel like the cost of investment to buy an X-ray CT machine.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up, Greg.
Back, that feels like,
what if I told you that you could send your pack to him and he will scan it for $70, which to some people would be worth it, because packs right now are worth more sealed than opened, right?
But like, how much more?
Well,
okay, here's a really good example. I saw a TikTok of this of a mutual of mine went to the card thing in Florida. I don't remember the card party or whatever.
Card party. Yeah. Card party.
He went there. He was like, I bought this heavy pack. I don't remember what it was. It was like Neo Destiny or something. I could be wrong. I don't remember. But he was like, I bought this pack for $700. They said it was heavy. And Bobby just explained what heavy was, right? You could get a scale and put the things on, and if it weighs a little bit more, technically has a higher chance of having something good. And he opened it, and the cool thing about like the TikTok is it was showing all the prices of everything, and the final card was like $200, and they spent, and that was like $200 if I then send this to PSA, and then PSA gave it a 10.
Yeah.
So even if you then paid extra money to get it graded, and then it ended up being a perfect grade, which 9 times out of 10 it's not, because have you ever seen Pokemon cards? They're never centered. You still lost $500 on this heavy pack of cards. You just it was worth more sealed than it was open.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if they, I don't remember everything because this was like 3 weeks ago, and I don't remember what card they were looking for. But there are some cards that are worth more than the $700 pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this card's worth $1,000, this card's worth $1,200, this card's worth $800. So there's that gamble there. But if you had, I think this goes both ways, right? Like if I had a pack of Fossil and I spent $70 to scan it, and I knew after the scan that there was nothing good in that pack, what does a pack of Fossil go for? Like
300.
Yeah, 300. So I'm then spending $70 to then go sell it to somebody else,
So
knowing that it's bad.
Yes. There's a couple things here to that, though. Hold on. There's a couple factors into what happens in between all of this.
So this person paid like a lot of money for this X-ray machine. Like I'm on eBay right now looking at X-ray machines, and they are thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that happen that would have to happen here. You're not going to be able to buy a pack of cards and scan it before you buy it, right? So like you're going to end up buying that $700 pack of cards
machine.
or whatever
Hold on.
first. So let's say you buy, we'll go with I know for a fact like base set, just a base set pack, not first edition or anything, just an unlimited base set pack. Typically runs around $600 or $700, or at least they were last year. And so let's say you spend that $700 on a base set pack, and now you go, and let's say you didn't know if it was weighted or not, or if it was, so you get it and you go and you pay $70 to this person. He looks at it. In there is a holographic Charizard. Cool. You're going to open that up and you're going to pull that holographic Charizard, and then you're going to go sell it or try to grade it for thousands of dollars, right? It's worth thousands of dollars. Well, let's say there's not a holographic in there. Well, now you as a person are deciding whether you're going to knowingly give somebody a pack of cards that is no good at a price that is way overinflated for that pack of cards, because you know that the card in the holographic is either not there or whatever. So like you kind of got to be a bad person here.
Yeah, I mean there is ethics involved.
That's already happening though. Like
yeah.
I would not buy cards. I would normally not buy booster packs from card shops, because there's not a doubt in my mind that some card shops aren't opening thousands of booster packs of a new set and then weighing the ones they don't open and putting the lighter ones out front for customers to buy.
Like vintage packs. I mean, it's definitely
not
harder.
vintage. Well,
it's harder with the newer packs to do that.
Yeah.
You can still weigh them. Like there are many videos that show that the weight is different, especially since the Scarlet Violet era, where they don't have different code cards for each one anymore.
Yeah.
So the code cards used to off weight the packs so you couldn't weigh them, and then they changed that out, and now you can sort of weigh them again. But yeah, with vintage packs, that's the thing, is like if they weighed them and then saw that they were lighter and then still sold them to people, you wouldn't know that, right? So that's already a thing that can happen.
And to be fair, that could happen at Target, right? Somebody could go into Target, sit down there with a scale, and start weighing packs, and then put the lighter ones back on the shelf, and then go to the checkout with like, here's the 10 heavier ones I got.
Yes. I've actually seen reports of people being in Target, taking pictures of people who have a scale. Like this was back in like the 2021 when
Pokemon I remember
the big wave, right? Like yeah, taking pictures of people who are holding a scale and actually trying to weigh packs in Target.
So
So it does
the
happen.
funny thing about this article and this dude with a CT scanner is there was another guy who also did the same thing, but the Aaron Wayne was the one who like finalized and got that done first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the other person was like more of a company, like I think a card shop bought a scanner and they were trying to do it. So like two people had the same concept of what if we bought a scanner to see inside packs of cards. Again, it doesn't have to be Pokemon. They can do this with Magic. They can do this with Yu-Gi-Oh. And then ultimately, I don't know if the other person finished it or not, but once they do finish it, because obviously Aaron finished it, they're going to then just start charging people money to scan.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to see like these card parties still happen, or I mean like whatever, like TCG events have been happening for 30 some years, more than that, right? Like I remember being 10 years old going to like a bingo hall where there was just people selling Pokemon cards and Magic and baseball and stuff. Like they've existed forever. But I think that you're going to see people who are full-time attending these events and that have all these vintage. I think they are going to start sending packs over for $70 and then just sell them knowing that they're not good. Like they know for $70 there's nothing in here, but they don't have to tell you that.
Right. Yeah. I think it's kind of like one of those things where right at this moment, it's not that big of a deal. Like it's not happening widely in any way, right?
Because there's only one dude doing it.
One person that's done it or two people, but that idea is now out there. Like that concept is now out there that it hasn't been, maybe it's been thought of before. I'm sure it has, but not to the point where someone's really got it working and now people are reporting on it. And now that idea is there. And if you're a vintage collector or a sealed collection collector and you have this opportunity, I mean, people keep their stuff sealed so that they can sell it at a higher price down the road. And now you have this opportunity.
I keep my stuff sealed because I forget I bought it, and then I forgot.
I mean, here's the thing: like there's always something. Like when you were just selling sealed packs and you didn't know what it is, and there's always plausible deniability. I don't know what it is. I didn't open it. Could be good. Could be bad. You're assuming that risk.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, plausible deniability will go out the window if this becomes huge. And at that point, we are in weird ethics land where like a shop could say we won't pay to have these scanned. It's still, you assume the risk, but we have no idea what they actually did. Right? Like we are already trusting a lot of people to be mostly honest with how they do things based on not a lot, based on the fact that we need to keep society going. This sort of like takes us a step away from that across the board, which is not great. Like cool that you did it. Not great that you're like, and then to recoup my thousands of dollars, I'll prove people are lying for $70. Like, or I'll let you know that you got ripped off with no recourse because you bought it assuming the risk. Like if you opened it, if you had it scanned it, at that point, all the difference is that you are then knowing it's a bad pack, willingly scamming the next person that you're selling it to. You're willingly lying that you don't know what's in there and saying, well, buy it from me. It could have something good. And you are full disclosure. No, there's nothing good in there.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think also
go ahead.
I think it also, what will end up happening is if this actually does grow in some meaningful way, you will just see the value of these things go down because people will potentially be a little bit more afraid to spend the money on packs like that, which will in turn make the prices have to drop so that people can sell them for more than what they bought them for. You know how it all works. So it will just drive all the prices down, which some may think is actually a good thing.
Yeah,
drive the prices down. But
that could be a good thing to some people, right? Like, again, when I unfortunately make it to TCG TikTok and you see these people that are like wheeling and dealing and like watching a person casually walk into like a convention and being like, I'll take that PSA 10 Moonbryon for $1,200, and you're just like, not what I would spend $1,200 on.
All right.
And I've bought some pretty dumb stuff over the years.
I have a Moonbryon. I don't think I've said this story on here. I have a Moonbryon story that still haunts me to this day. That is like, that card is just an exception, right? To like the rest of like that era of cards, the Sword and Shield era, right? There's an alternate art Umbreon. It's reaching for the moon, and it was worth like $200 when Evolving Skies first came out. And my friend was in a card shop. He lives in North Carolina, and he was in a card shop, and they were selling it for $250. And he texted me kind of jokingly, like, if you Venmo me $250 right now, I'll buy this card and I'll ship it to you. And I really wanted it, but I was like, no, like every other alternate art, they're going to come down in price a little bit, and I'll just wait till it drops at least under 200. Like, I'll just wait. And it's now like $1,000 ungraded to buy that card today. And I just kick myself every time I go look and see that it's gone up again. And
well, that's so like another gamble in this industry is, am I going to send this Moonbryon or Charizard or Mewtwo off to PSA? And are they going to give it a 10 or are they going to give it a 9? And if they give it a 9, I'm going to then take a pliers and crack it open. And then I'm going to send it back again.
Yep.
And hope for a 10, because there's such a price difference between a 9 and a 10. You also will see some people send it to like, what is it, CGC, and be like, oh, well, CGC gave it a 9.5. So I'm going to crack that open, and now I feel better to send it to PSA, because I think CGC does 0.5s and stuff.
Yes,
I legitimately in my basement have so many unopened Pokemon cards, because I would buy them to just like open on stream for like fun, like break up the content and stuff of like, we've been like shiny hunting, or we've been battling for like an hour straight. Let's like take a 5-minute break and open up like 5 packs of cards, right? And I genuinely like collecting cards. I still have a booster box, 36 packs of XY Evolutions unopened. And I'm looking at eBay, and it's $820, $775, $825.
Okay. That's wild, because you know the thing that is, what's true about XY Evolutions? If you buy every one of those cards as single cards, you can buy that entire set for less than $500.
Yeah.
Every booster box, which will only give you maybe 60% of that set, less probably, is like $1,000 or $800, like you said. But you could literally go and buy every single card online right now for less than $500. And to be clear here, I actually have never sold a card before. Like, I am not in any of this for money. Like, I really truly do love collecting Pokemon cards, but at the same time, you are spending your money to do that. Like, one way or the other, money is involved. I know a lot of people are like, oh, people turning the cards into like just money, but how are you getting the cards? You have to spend your money to get the cards. And so like, these things are important when you look at the prices and where best to spend your money for this hobby.
Right. So like, it's all with connected. The XY Evolutions, it's like, why would I open it? What would I be looking for? Like, if there was a single card in XY Evolutions that I wanted, I would just go to TCG Player, type it in, and just buy it. So it's like, this thing that I have in my basement in a tote with a bunch of other unopened packs is about $800, give or take, right? And so do I sell it as $800 to somebody, or do I keep sitting on it? Does it go up? Does it go down? Like, it's kind of why I keep a lot of stuff sealed, and not because like I'm hoping it's gonna go up in the future. It's like I legitimately don't know what to do with it. And like maybe in 10 years, I'll be like, you know, it'd be really cool. Let's crack that box open. But it would purely be for fun, the fun of opening packs, which it is genuinely fun. I think people like to buy Pokemon packs because they're fun to open. And it's like, what's in there? Or maybe I contact this guy. I think he'll do a booster box for like 125.
Did you see if a Charizard's in there?
So yeah, see if the Charizard's in there.
Yeah. I think the best thing to do when it comes to just collecting is just collect what you like. If you like opening packs, open packs. If you like, if you have specific cards from a set that you like, maybe go check your local shop or, you know, like an online spot that's trustworthy for purchasing singles, you know, like just collect what you like. And you know, if you like sealed, if you like to keep things sealed, and that's not to say there are people who aren't just trying to make a buck by keeping things sealed. Some people want to collect things and keep them sealed, and do
That's
that.
true. That I've seen people
you know?
just collect every single ETB.
Yeah,
and they just like collecting the
looks
ETBs.
kind of cool actually when you collect them all and you have them all there, right behind Greg there. There you go.
Greg's got one.
I got one down.
I don't think this will be the last time we hear about this TCG scanner. I think that once the other person finishes and once more and more people hear of this and start sending stuff in, I think that we will definitely have another conversation before the end of the year about this.
You don't have to have a lot of people who decide to go and get a scanner. You know, I mean, they're saying like, oh, this is an expensive thing to do, but it's not like you have to have thousands of people going and buying them. Like, you just have to have
I think
handful.
once this catches on too, I think this guy is set. I think he will recoup his costs, and I think he will make money. Because again, baseball cards, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, like on an entrepreneur level, good for that guy. Like to like
no, Steve.
I think I am actually shocked that like it is 2024 and we're talking about scanning booster packs. You would have thought that this would have been like happening like 10 years ago.
I guess it could have. They just
Yeah,
or maybe the technology for what they like are doing with it wasn't there with scanners then or something. I don't know enough about CT scanners to understand like how far the technology has come.
I didn't even know you could buy one off eBay.
10 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think there's
eBay.
a lot of things that factor into it. One, a lot of these products were never sold on the secondhand market because they were kept in hospitals and you would keep them in a hospital forever. And then as our healthcare got worse and more private practices had to pick these things up, and more companies were like, let's sell it to a chiropractor who doesn't have any, but we'll convince them that they do. And then they discover, oh, we never use this. We just invested thousands of dollars. So let's sell it on eBay to try to recoup our costs. Like a lot of those things are just becoming available on the market where they weren't before. And also like a lot of things you couldn't sell on eBay before, and a lot of those restrictions are gone. a lot of the rules that used to prevent these things from happening are no longer in existence for a wide variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Speaking of rules, this is off Nintendo Life. New Pokemon Snap is the first official Pokemon release in China since 2000. I had to reread this headline and then furiously like look up of how true or not true this is. So new Pokemon Snap is officially released in China on July 16th, 2024. This is the first Pokemon game officially released in China after the console ban in 2000. Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are preparing for release. And for specifically new Pokemon Snap, they did change the way the sun looked in the game, the like little sun icon. And the account reporting on this said that the sun was resembled too much of Taiwan, so that's why it was changed.
Does it?
Now you're like, this doesn't make any sense. There's a bunch of people in China playing Pokemon games. That's true. That's why I had to look it up. All of that stuff was imported. So nothing is stopping a store or a reseller or anyone going online and buying the Japanese copy or the English copy or the Taiwanese copy. So it's not that they couldn't sell Pokemon games.
Yeah.
It's that this is an official Chinese release of this version, where I'm pretty sure like there's traditional and simplified Chinese in like Scarlet and Violet, right? Like they made a big deal about that around, was it Sun and Moon? I think Sun and Moon, I believe, added 2 Chinese languages.
Yeah.
So all you would have to do is go to Hong Kong, walk into whatever their version of GameStop is, buy a used copy of Japanese Pokemon Sun, start the game up, pick traditional Chinese, and now you can play the whole game just fine. Kind of cool. Kind of weird to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, because it was making me think about. So is this specific to console games? Because didn't they made like an entire version of Pokemon Quest on mobile for China, right? Like the Pokemon Quest in China has like they have Gen 2.
So
in there and stuff.
physical releases.
Okay.
Physical release of new Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
I believe in China you could go in and get a digital release of it.
Yeah, because there's a different version of Unite in China too.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
physical.
Thank you for bringing that
game.
up. That was what I had to mention too. So I don't think this means that like new Pokemon Snap is all of a sudden going to sell like 1 million copies. I think when Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee eventually comes out, which is supposed to be later this year, I don't think that means like Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee is going to sell like 1 million copies, because there have been multiple ways in China to get those games, right? Also, you could just do what the English players do and just switch your store to Australia, and now you got Pokemon Legends 12 hours early.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
but can you do that in China? I mean, there are so many different regulations on like the internet in China. Are you able to do that in China the same way you can in the US?
I believe yes.
Yeah.
From what I was looking up, I believe that I was reading that if somebody in China wanted a different game, they would just switch their stores.
Or
they would just go to a shop and get the import.
There are a lot of restrictions, and whenever there are a lot of restrictions, there's a lot of people who know how to get around those restrictions. I mean, for as much as they like to crack down on stuff, VPNs exist everywhere. Like there are a lot of ways they've gotten around it. It is a lot of show, and also it's a thing that catches a lot of business people off guard because they aren't prepared to be like, why can't I get most things on my internet? Because they just didn't do the research and did the work to get a more free internet. It's also a money thing. A lot of the things cost money, so like their general populace probably just don't see it worth to afford it. But anybody who has money enough to buy extra games probably knows how to get around it.
Right.
Well, if you have extra money, there's a $90 calendar app you can get, $50 for Pokemon Sleep. I hear eBay is selling CT machines right now, so
for the low price of $4,000.
That dude is going to make his money back so fast if all he spent was $4,000 on a CT machine. That's crazy.
There's no problem for that for him.
Okay. Let's take one more break, And then we have a little bit of Pokemon Go news. And what was our other bit of news? Oh, we got to talk about the AI TCG stuff again. So we will be right back. And we are back from our break. Let's run through Pokemon Go stuff real quick. To no one's surprise, August Community Day is Poplio.
It's about time.
That will be Saturday, August 31st from 2 to 5. Poplio appearing more in the wild. Hydro Cannon is the featured attack. You can spend your $1. It will be 3 times the catching XP, 2 times XL Candy if you're level 31 and up. Snapshots, trades will cost less, 1 additional trade. The 4-star raid bonus, showcases, those will probably be broken. They always are.
Mm-hmm.
Standard community day.
Standard stuff. Isn't there a community day happening during the World Championship? It's a classic, though.
Yeah, the classic is happening during that, isn't it?
Yes, but I think it's happening on Saturday, which was better than last year, where they decided to put Froakie during the actual finals.
Yeah.
Which was... How does anyone make that decision?
Janine in the calendar, man. Don't question it. Just go with
They need a $90 calendar app to figure out not to overlap that. Did they didn't announce what Classic was, though?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I don't see I don't see an announcement for it.
I don't even know what Classic would be exciting.
Could be. I'm just looking at a Reddit post where someone is saying they're hoping for either something like Ralts or Beldum. Those would both be good.
Yeah. I think
would be
Beldum
fun.
would maybe make the most sense if eventually you get Metagross eventually.
And Ralts, Mega Gallade hasn't come out yet either. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. No
both
Gallade
of
yet.
those would be good.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. There's probably something exciting that I'm not thinking of, but I've also participated in every single community day. So.
Yeah.
I'll be in Atlanta, so if people are at Dragon Con doing that, let me know where you're at.
Yeah. So
Beldum would be fun. Let's hope for Beldum.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
Yeah. Metagross is cool.
Done.
I said last week that we will probably get Safari Zone stuff. We got Safari Zone stuff. We only got 2 Safari Zones, not 3. So I'm not sure if... I have no insider info. I know that sometimes I have meetings with Niantic. I will tell you that I don't know anything. I genuinely don't know anything. I was guessing that the Safari Zone stuff would be announced just because this is about the same time they announced it last year. They waited until GoFest was completely over. I would guess that they were probably, again, this is just pure speculation. I would guess that there was probably more locations, but it's so easy for some of this stuff to just like fall through, where they couldn't get the terms and agreement right. They couldn't decide on money. The venue was being too difficult. I don't know why there's not 3. From the insider information I do know, which isn't even insider information, Niantic has said this publicly, they love their live events. They wish they could do more.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why I don't think this is like, oh, they're scaling back. I'm assuming whatever the 3rd location was, something went wrong.
Has there always been 3 locations for Safari Zone? I know initially...
Yes. Even before COVID, they announced 3. It was it was St. Louis, Canada, and then, what was it, like Pittsburgh?
Weren't the initial Safari Zones, though, like an addition to GoFest? So it was like GoFest, and then there were 2 Safari Zones in addition to GoFest is what I thought how it initially went.
I think the very first Safari Zone ever was like Germany.
Yeah. And then there was one in like Japan. And it was like Go Fest in Chicago and then 2 Safari Zones
Oh,
in
yeah,
addition
yeah.
to Go Fest
And then they've slowly changed it over the years
to be 3.
to be whatever this is now.
Right.
But even so, there's like, these are different. So one is Pokemon Go City Safari, and the other one is Pokemon Go Safari Zone. They really make this very easy to follow. Anyways, this is what they ended up announcing. So Pokemon Go City Safari Jakarta, which will take place from September 21st to September 22nd, and that is a part of Pikachu's Indonesia journey, which they've done twice so far, I believe. And if I remember correctly, both Pikachu Indonesia journeys that have already happened involved a 5K race that you could do, where if you ran that race, is that what they call it, a race? Marathon?
No, a marathon. That's 26.2 miles.
You would then get like a medal at the end, as long as you finished.
That's cool.
And the medal had like Pikachu on it, like an actual like medal, like a race medal.
Not like an in-game medal.
Not an in-game medal, an actual physical object.
Yes. You'll encounter Pokemon around the Pokemon Air adventures, such as Flying Pikachu, Tropius, Noibat. So these are the same Pikachus that have been the Bali Pikachu that has been in Indonesia. If it's your first time in Jakarta, you'll have an exclusive chance to encounter Skidoo while you set off for a citywide adventure to discover stores, new friends, and exciting Pokemon waiting for you in the city. Whether you are a first-time city goer, your Pokemon Go City Safari will take you across the city in a new way. From historic landmarks to local favorites, get ready to taste the city with your Pokemon Go on your side. I think that's great. I talked about, so I went to the next Safari Zone we're about to talk about is Korea. The first Safari Zone in Korea that I went to was in Goyang, and that was at a park in Goyang, and it was 8 hours in this park, and there wasn't a whole lot to do. If you've ever played community at a park, at your local park for 3 hours, you're probably slightly bored at the end of said 3 hours. Imagine that for like 8 hours for a Safari Zone. That's what it was. Like, it was obviously still a new city. It was a big park. There was photo opportunities and stuff. Like there were things to do. But even if you were to like go to like New York Go Fest or any of the Go Fest this past year, being on Randall's Island for 8 hours wouldn't have been amazing.
No, it would not have been. No.
So when they announced the second Safari Zone in Korea, which was in Seoul, and they did this city experience Safari Zone, it was a million times better. And they set it up. I remember coming on the podcast saying they set it up in a way where you like followed the flowered Pokestops, and it legitimately took you through Seoul to the things you would want to see if you were visiting Seoul for the first time. Like, oh, here's this museum, here's this huge statue, here's this really famous arch, here's this touristy area with all the shops, here's all the restaurants that people go to. Like, it was just fantastic. And that was 2 days, and I would assume that most people broke that up into sections because there was like 3 big areas to go to. So I would assume that most people did maybe 2 of the areas on Saturday and then the 3rd area on Sunday. But regardless, you could play anywhere in Seoul and still have your spawns and your stops and stuff. Whereas like the Goyang thing was you got to be in this park. So the Pokemon Go City Safari Jakarta sounds exactly like what they're doing that they did in Seoul, which was we're curating an experience for you to explore the city in a good way. And I think I know a couple people in our community went to Barcelona, and it sounded like the Barcelona was very much curated to do I did the Barcelona thing. because I went to Barcelona after I was in Madrid, and it would have been nice to have like the in-game map also help, but like I had to like put it all in like Google Maps and do the touristy things because I was only in Barcelona for like 24 hours. For Korea, they announced Incheon, which is Friday, September 27th through Sunday, September 29th. So the week after Jakarta, that will be taking place in Songdo Central Park, which does not sound like a city experience. This is the second Safari Zone hosted in South Korea. So yeah, they're saying that this is the second Safari Zone because the one last year was a city safari. So it's very interesting that they're separating these two.
Yeah.
I just thought the city... what is it called? The city safari replaced the Safari Zone because the city safari is the better experience.
But I mean, like, even if you look at the two, they're like different logos and everything. You know, it's like completely, they're definitely different. And I do wonder if it has to do with the city and what they're able to agree on with the specific city. And for some, it's like, no, we're only going to allow you to do this within a park and do it this way. And so they have that be their safari zones. And then you have other cities that maybe allow for more, will coordinate with doing something throughout the city. And then they're able to do their city safari instead. You know, like I wonder if it's just, if that's where the difference happens, is like, what can they agree with on with the city that they're going to be in?
Yeah, because like in Madrid, there were official... we worked with the city of Madrid to make these 3 or 4 routes. And they were the best routes I've ever done. They were like going back to the Safari City experience in Seoul. Like they were very curated. The routes that I went on, which was like 2 of the 4, were like, oh, I understand why we're walking down the street. I understand why we're turning here. Oh, like I wanted to see this. And I didn't know this route was going to take us here, so we can mark this off. We can check this off. Like that's so cool that this was just on the way. I would have never guessed that it was here.
Yeah, I will say I just clicked into the Safari Zone. Like there's like links within the Pokemon Go website that is, you know, click here for more information about this specific event. And the Safari Zone in South Korea does have a citywide gameplay ticket that you can also apply to the...
So it is more like a mini Go
Fest because you have the city, you can have the... so yeah, so that may...
yeah, I mean, like, if that was my one complaint of Seoul, was like there was no... because it was a city experience, there was no like hub to go to. But because there were kind of hubs. There were like 3 big locations that they encouraged people to start at. And so the location I started at, which was one of the hubs, there was just so many people there. And so that's where I got like trades done. That's where I started my day. That's where I ended my day. And there were a lot of people did the same. They started their day there or they ended their day there. And that was where you like met up with people. So there is value to like, here is a park experience. Like there was value to Randall's Island.
Yeah.
Minus the weather.
This Central Park is so cool. I'm sorry, I haven't just been staring at it, all the pictures of it.
The South Korea park?
Yeah. It is amazing. Hold on. I'll show you where I'm at. I just like they'll talk because I want to look at these pictures.
It feels like, sorry, just going off of like the cost for these as well. It feels like the one in Indonesia is a lot more expensive than, like, even if you buy the Safari Zone in South Korea with the city, with the citywide gameplay, you're paying 29,000 won, and I have to
which
do
is
the
like $20
currency exchange. And then for the city safari in Indonesia, it's 125,000 Indonesian rupiah. I don't know if I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. Which seems like quite a bit more.
I think
It's
that's $11. I think the Jakarta
oh
one
yeah,
is
you're right.
cheaper.
You're right. It's $7 for the city experience, and then it's $20 for the for the South Korean one. So never mind. I'm wrong. I thought those currencies were closer, but it's not.
Well, the Pokemon that people care about is Skidoo. I didn't realize that non-shiny Skidoo was so sought after. Because I
Yeah.
threw away like 40 of them on my way back from like Korea. I was like, I mean, I still have like 10 of them, but I just threw them away because I was like, I have so many.
You need to trade me one, please, when we see each other.
And now I kind of wish I had multiple shiny Skidoo, but I was like trading them to people who didn't get shiny Skidoo that weekend. Like I traded one for like the shiny Slowpoke with the cowboy hat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, you didn't get it here. I want the Slowpoke.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently at New York Go Fest, you could trade shiny Skidoo for anything. People wanted it so badly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I traded a regular Skidoo for a shiny Corsola just because people wanted regular Skidoo so badly. It's kind of crazy how, like, Pokemon Go can take a very average basic Pokemon and make it this like really rare powerhouse in the game.
Mareep for all that time was so rare.
Yeah,
Pokemon
I remember
Go.
when Mareep came out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember when Garchomp came out
Yeah.
and people were trading anything for a Gibble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have two new events that are on the other side of the world, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's supposed to be an event in Brazil at the end of December. I don't think that was a secret because I think was it Gamescom where Niantic was there? They talked about how an event was coming to Brazil. But they have not officially put anything on their website.
Yeah, I see like an article about it, but nothing from the Pokemon Go website. I will say I was looking back at just the history of Safari Zone events, and they do kind of happen around the calendar. So it's still possible that like we end up with like a November Safari Zone or something that they just didn't announce right off the bat. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they happen all throughout the year, it looks like. So
I mean, it's the end of July and these are the end of September. So if anything, I get why they don't announce them earlier because they don't want to take away from like Go Fest season, but like 2 months to like that's not a lot of time.
A lot of time to plan.
mm-hmm.
But like very cool for like even if you're like an American listening, you're like, oh, I wish I could go. Like it's still cool for people in those areas because like they might struggle to come to like a Go Fest or something, right? Like the one thing that America has been getting, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon, is the Sinnoh, Hoenn, Johto, whatever thing that happens early in the year. And then I don't think there's ever going to be a point in time where America does not get a Go Fest. I think it is safe to say.
Don't see that happening. I will say I was just looking this up because you brought up Brazil. And yeah, it looks like Pokemon Go had announced at, like you said, at Gamescom, the Latin American Gamescom,
Yes,
that they were going to have the biggest in-person event that they've ever had in Brazil in December. So it looks like it would be in Sao Paulo. But yeah, nothing like since then. It doesn't look like they've.
Yeah, so they've officially said this in front of people, but they have not officially said it on their own communication outlets. So like
you said, December, right? You got to wait till like October before they decide to announce that.
Well, and they had one they've had one in Singapore, I think twice, like some sort of Safari Zone something in Singapore. I think they did something in Taiwan. Yeah, they did the thing in Taiwan earlier this year because that was like very close to when that Pokemon Center opened in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
So they are doing a lot of events regardless. I just kind of expected another event to go with this, but I also expected not a huge difference between Safari Zone and what was the other one? City Safari, but
City Safari.
Yeah, but okay. there's a difference there. So
City Safari, yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, they really did. It was like 4 in a row that were City Safari. It was Seoul, Barcelona, Mexico City, and then Tainan were all City Safaris. So,
and Jakarta will be City Safari.
Yeah.
And then Incheon will be Safari Zone.
With a citywide experience that you can add on.
I also believe there is like some really special hotel package you can get for Incheon. And they're only making that hotel package available to tourists. So if you live in South Korea, you cannot apply for that hotel package. It's like a resort hotel thing. But I don't have that information in front of me, nor do I like that will probably apply to one person listening to this podcast being like, I'm going to South Korea.
Yeah.
Tell me about the package. Okay, last bit of news is the TCG illustration contest. It's been so busy that this news came out and then we never really covered it. But the disqualifications happened. There were 6 entries. This is off Poke Beach. This was on July 3rd. 6 entries got disqualified, and they added 6 new artists. So we talked about that. We talked about some amount of people were going to get disqualified.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought it was going to be more than 6, but it was just all VK, which we talked about in depth. So that was VK had 4 EVs and 2 Pikachus. They broke multiple rules, AI art, multiple submissions, all of that stuff. They were the only 6 disqualified. Now, there was some people speculating that a couple other pieces could be AI art, but it was hard to tell. And that's the unfortunate thing about this. You don't want to like disqualify somebody because you think it might be AI, and then that's weird because they're going to be like, it's not weird if it was AI,
Clearly.
but it is.
Y'all haven't been following the Dungeons and Dragons art drama as much as I have been, and the nightmare that some of these artists have been going through. Because there is an active hunt for finding AI art, and then they go after a person's art, and then that poor person has to come online and say, hi, here are the choices I made, here are all my sketches, here are my layers, and then they spend a week of their life trying to defend that they're an actual artist, proving all of their work because somebody thought it was AI. Like, this whole situation is just getting more and more nightmarish, and I feel so bad for these artists, like, because there's people who are clearly using AI, and then there are people who make choices that people are like, that's AI. Like, also, somebody's accusing me and my pictures I've posted of myself as being AI right now, currently in my existence over the last 2 days. Like, these are actual pictures I took of myself. And they're like, that's AI. I'm like, no, it's me.
It also doesn't help that, like, Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it, adds this weird AI tag to your Instagram post.
Yes.
I posted that that Tasagiri thing.
Yeah.
Where it was just Tasagiri, and then I put like this Tasagiri it was the Pikachu, Raichu, Mimikyu. It was the event before the Tasagiri. And I posted like Alolan Raichu will be in the Blueberry Academy, and Pikachu will be in Paldea, and Pichu will be in Kitakami, right? Like I didn't use any generative fill or content aware fill. I literally imported the picture off Twitter. I used the little text tool to add the text, and then I went like effects drop shadow. And I added a little drop shadow, and then I added a blur, a Gaussian blur. So like the Pikachu raid was blurred. That was it. I did like the 2 basic things in Photoshop: blur and drop shadow. They have existed for like 40 years in Photoshop. And then I went to upload it to Instagram, and it was like AI was used to make this picture. No,
No.
it wasn't.
No, it
It's
was
a
not.
drop
Yeah.
shadow tool and the Gaussian blur.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
They're fixing that. Fixing, so they say, that whole situation with
but
the
even if you're like a photographer, I've seen this with
Yeah, I've
photographers.
seen-
They'll
yeah,
t-
I've seen- it
they'll
happened.
they'll take a picture of, I don't know, like Mount Fuji, and
Mhm.
they'll bring it in Photoshop, and they'll just like, okay, I'm gonna boost the saturation a little bit. I'm gonna like bring down the brightness, and now I'm gonna send it over to Instagram, and then it goes made with AI.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
And
crazy.
I've
It's-
heard that if you actually do use AI and then just resave the picture, like then it doesn't get uploaded
Yeah.
with the made with
Yeah.
AI
Yeah,
tag.
this
So
whole-
it's like, this doesn't
everything.
work. Like,
This is
it
such
doesn't
an
work.
this is just the worst
Yeah.
timeline. Like all of these people who are actually doing actual work, who are
Mhm.
doing what they can, are competing against a system that doesn't understand them, people who are actively hunting for them, and then people who will look at actual AI stuff and say, wow, that looks great. I'll put it in a contest. Like,
Yeah.
it's exhausting. I'm happy they included 6 new people. Like, they replaced them with 6 artists. Like,
Mhm.
it's good that they did the right thing, but also I don't know how we are getting out of this.
Okay, so there was 300 entries. 6 of them were taken up by VK. They eliminated VK. That was the only one. That was the only persons, I guess, because it was 4 different VKs.
It's probably the same person.
They, yeah,
It's the same person.
they added 6 entries, and then last week they brought down the 300 to 100, which is normal, and then they'll bring down, I think, the 100. I think they bring it down to what, like 36 or something, and then they'll do the finals or something like that. The 6 that they added did not make it into the top 100. I went through each one. So, but like, when I posted like a clip explaining this on like Instagram, and like somebody commented, they were like, I'm an artist and I submitted and I didn't get picked in the first 300, and they were like, it kind of sucks because whoever they eliminate and bring in, why would those people make it any further if they couldn't even make it into the first 300 to begin with?
Yeah.
Which is like a really good point. Like it's almost like I don't know how you win in that situation. I don't know how you make it right, of like, we're adding people because their slot was taken up by our oversight of this VK guy.
Right.
But also we didn't pick them initially. So why would they go any further?
Well, it
Yeah.
doesn't. It all depends on how they initially picked the 300, right? Like if it was just like let's say each judge got to pick a certain amount, but now for the next 300, they've changed how they're judging it. So now maybe like 2 judges have a decision on a certain percentage of them. I mean, it could still work. Like it could still work where they would. They didn't. So I guess there's that. But
Yeah.
we don't know how they're judging any of this, right? We only know that like there are judges, but we have no idea like what they how
look
they're
for.
even doing it.
Yeah.
What they're looking
Who's
for.
picking what?
Yeah.
Like, do all the judges have to agree on a single piece, or like what you said is?
I hope not. Like that.
Yeah.
12 people agreed that the 6 VK ones. Like, no, please, no, don't let that be true. Like, but yeah, I mean, we don't know. You know, they could have changed how the judging happens in round 2 versus round 1. I mean,
it's highly subjective. And
yes.
it's also one of the things like, okay, so you picked your top 600 favorites, and then you're just going like, at that point, really, you kind of know what your favorites are. Like if you're a judge and you're looking, like, I don't know how much you can change your opinions on things each time you have to relook at things. Like,
Yeah.
there's the ones you immediately said yes to, and then there's ones where you're like, okay, I'll move it on. And then like, I don't think these artists are like making a case to the judges or like presenting more art. Like, this is it. And then do they go to a different judge? Does a different judge look at your picks? Like, they're not particularly clear how the judging happens. It's just, it's always just a weird process. that's often very hidden behind a lot of layers.
But
Were
also
the-
the thing we also didn't talk about, because it's been like a month since we've talked about this, is that when they went to eliminate VK, there was also like 10 people that their name was changed on the website. So the wrong names were assigned to certain pictures, and that was corrected. So it makes me also think that a lot of speculation this episode. It also makes me think like these pieces were just presented in a way without like a name attached to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you kind of think like, how did one person get 6 entries? Like the judges were just looking at the art. They weren't looking at people's names.
Right. Sure.
And then somebody, whoever uploaded them, also didn't have the right names because multiple people's names were misassigned on the website.
Yeah. But yeah, that is weird. What the pictures, I never actually looked this up. The pictures that they replaced to those 6 with, was
they're
it
on the
2 Pikachus and 4 Eevee?
the 2 Pikachus and the 4 Eevees were with VK. They replaced it with like it's in the PokeBeach article.
Yeah,
in the show
there's
notes.
one
I see
Absol,
here.
2 for
Oh.
Alligator.
Yeah. So none of them are Pikachu or Eevee.
No, none of
They
them.
replaced them
There's
with.
a Flygon.
You know what's also interesting is out of the top 100 that you can look at, Pikachu and Eevee have like the least amount of entries. And we talked about this. If you're going to use AI to generate Pokemon, AI is more likely to make a Pikachu or an Eevee than it would a Koraidon or a Flygon, just because there is so much Pikachu and Eevee out there
Mhm.
that it would understand that better, because AI has to ultimately steal from something. They have to take other people's work to make their own work. They need
Right.
they need a base of something. So I don't know if that's intentional or just a coincidence, but you know, when you cut down 300 entries to 100, a lot of Feraligators made it past, a lot of Absols made it past, but
Mhm.
there were way more Eevees and Pikachus initially than there are now. I think only 4 Eevees made it to the top 100 and 5 Pikachu, 7 Pikachu.
That's pretty wild. One of these Pikachu looks straight out of like the Honolulu or like the World Championship artwork. Very interesting. It's different, but it's just like has that same vibe.
But it is, this is my personal opinion, it is easier to look at 100 pieces of art than it is 300 pieces. Like
Yeah, that's
like when I'm looking through this, like everything just seems so good. And then I remember going back through the 300 and like I don't remember seeing some of these pieces, but they were obviously there in the 300. But there was just so much to look at. Like there's so many Melmetals I'm looking at right now being like, this Melmetal is incredible. I don't remember seeing it a month ago at all.
Yep.
It gets a little overwhelming.
So I not to defend the judges, but I would imagine that looking at 20,000 pieces of art to be like, we need to get this down to 300 is exhausting.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And I don't think they're doing it as a full-time job either. Like if you look at the list of judges,
yeah,
they
weren't some of them like executives.
Yeah.
of the Pokemon
yeah,
company?
like they like the first 5 names are like the president, the executive director, the executive director. Like these people are just like nodding and saying, "Sure, call us in for the last 100."
Yeah.
Like I can see the art and illustration directors because that's their job, going through each and every one of them.
Sure.
But that's like a week of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And at least they're getting paid for it. I always feel weird about these art contests anyways, because it's
gosh, we've been talking about the art contest. This is we have officially made it 14 years of this podcast. 14 years of this show. And the amount of times we've talked about this art contest on and off for 14 years is just like, it's cool, and people are very talented,
Yes.
Yes.
and this art is absolutely incredible. But there's still like this slight uneasiness that I have that a billion-dollar company is
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, send us your free art, and 3 of you will get a TCG card at the end of
And
this."
I mean,
I
how
will
much
say,
of
though.
this can they keep in their own portfolio? Like, if they
Oh,
send it
right.
in, what are the rights situation? I mean, I have such a lot of
Yeah.
questions about what they are allowed to do with the art afterwards.
Well,
If they've
there
yeah.
have been a ton of artists that make it pretty far, and then they end up making cards for the future, which is super cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say, though, like, I think I said this a few weeks ago, but the winner of the 2022, the Greninja card, they're making a card that's coming out this week. That's coming out in the set that comes out on Friday, and it's like cool to see that, right? To see like, oh, you won, but then it didn't stop there. It's not like you
Yeah.
never got to draw or illustrate for the Pokemon Company again.
Yeah,
That's cool.
there's totally value. Like, again, you can go to Bulbapedia. They have a really great wiki of all the artists that have submitted, and then if those artists have made future cards, their names are like clickable, and you can see all the cards.
There
I
are
don't
a
know
lot
how
of
else you.
freelance artists out there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there are some artists out there that just want to make art, and that doesn't bother them, and that's totally valid and fair. There are some artists that like they want to get paid for their time,
Mhm.
and they have every right to say that and do that. Like, their time is valuable,
Mhm.
and their skills are unmatched in a lot of cases. Like, some of this art is just absolutely fantastic and gorgeous. But there again, there's just like the capitalism, something slightly off about like Pokemon getting 20,000 pieces of free art that they can then turn into cards that will eventually make them more money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, and I
Yeah.
do know like the 3 winners get paid, and some of them get opportunities, but
And I mean, to be fair, well, okay, this is
like even going back to the 6 people that got like they got picked, they got put into the top 300, and then they immediately got eliminated. Like,
Mhm.
that sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks to be like, oh, I lost out to AI art. Oh, okay, now they picked me. Okay, now I'm eliminated. Like, does that do anything for them? Does that like make them feel like, I genuinely, I would like to like find one of those 6 people and be like, how do you feel about this? Like, are you willing to do this again in the future?
Mhm.
Is this going into your portfolio? Do you think that like this will help you get other illustration? Like, I
Yeah.
genuinely want to know like how they feel, because I don't know how I would feel. Well, one, I have no artistic talent, but I don't know how I would feel if like, oh, I didn't make it into the top 300. Oh, all of a sudden I did. Oh, now I'm
Yeah. And
eliminated.
now I didn't.
Right.
I'm so I would like to hear from them, because I want to know, like, are they allowed to promote that they got in, like, as they are looking for other work and advertising themselves, are saying I was in the top 300 for this contest something that helps them secure other jobs? Are they allowed to use stuff in their portfolio that came from this? Is that I mean, we kind of talk about how exposure isn't anything, but are they able to turn that into a selling point for themselves when they're actually looking for paying clients? Because a contest isn't a paying client unless you win.
Right. Yeah. Well, they are allowed. I know there was the rule about that they are not allowed to post
Early.
the art
Early.
early, but that they can after. So I mean,
So posting is still different than you're allowed to put it in your portfolio.
right, true.
So that's where the things get where I'm iffy. Like, is this like big? So as people know, I've done a lot of art for a couple of games, and in my contracts, I clearly state you retain rights to use this in your portfolio. I get a certain part of the copyright so that I can use it in my products where you can't claim against me, but you then also get to keep this. You can post it, you can put it in your portfolio, you can use this to get other jobs. You just can't use it in other products, because
Mm,
I retain the rights to that, to use it in my products. Like, those are the contracts that I've signed.
right.
So the question is like, what is the contract that they have? Are they allowed to use it elsewhere? Are they allowed to use it in their portfolio? Do they retain the rights? Does Pokemon Company retain the rights? Where does all this fall? I'm
Right.
so intensely curious about that. And it's probably somewhere on their website, but I haven't looked for it.
The art submission guidelines doesn't talk anything about who owns what exactly, but I don't know if you are picked for the top 300, and I think somebody on like one of my Instagram posts said they did make it in top 300, which is like super cool for them. I don't know if you have to like sign something when you get picked to the top 300 of like, okay, we're moving forward with you. Do you agree to these new terms now that we're moving forward? I'm not sure if that's a conversation that happens. I would assume that they would
Right.
have to sign something.
I didn't realize that there's also a cash prize to winning.
There is, yeah.
$5,000 for the winner, and then $3,000 for the best EX card winner, and then the first 6 runners up each get $1,000.
Yeah.
And then 15 people who get the judges award winners each get $500.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that before. I thought it was just the promo card.
Yeah, no, there is money. Well, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks when we talk about I don't actually know when the next elimination is. I think they're slightly behind because they had to deal with the AI thing. And look, like, yes, the Pokemon Company messed up, but if you follow any contest or whatever in any other fandom, this is going to happen. This is going to continue to happen.
It's just going to continue to get worse.
Yeah. As AI gets better and better, they're going I don't know if companies are just going to like stop doing it, or it doesn't sound like the Pokemon Company is going to stop doing it, but it also sounds like they now need to hire literally one person to go through after things are selected and like really go back over. But again, I think every company has to do that at this point. Like, if you're not an artist, you're not going to like see some of these things initially.
My fear is that out of somewhat necessity, they're going to start asking for things like you'll need to show us your drafts, show us your layers, show us all of these files as part of the submission to help bypass this, to be like, this is the way we're going to check and submit it. And then there's still, because there's only so much time you can do to review it. Like, it got caught because a million eyes were suddenly on it, right? Like a million eyes could go through each one and look at it. It's, like, I have one editor for my books, and then I release it to the public, and then 7 more mistakes were found because 10,000 more people suddenly looked at it and said, oh, this is weird, or this is a spelling wrong that we all missed. I don't know what the future solution to this ever-growing problem is going to be, because people in these positions aren't going to suddenly get more time to do this. They're just going to start having to put more burden on the artist submitting. And that's just really unfortunate.
Right. And it's like, I got to make the work. I got to show my work. I got to jump through all these hoops for a company that's going to eventually profit.
Yeah. For somebody else to make profit off of it. And they're not even kind of paying me for my time.
Right.
Yeah.
Just as another thing, the next round is the finals. I mean, like, it looks like this is it. So it's 100 right now, and it looks like the next time they do announce them, it's the winners and everything. So
there's no like,
the rules did say that the top 100 would come out in July, so it looks like they actually are on time still with their timing. And then it looks like the next round is the finals. So no date on when that's supposed to actually happen, though. So,
well, if you're one of the 6 that got added, and then eliminated, and you listen to this podcast, reach out. I would love to talk about the process of what happened there. We can even have you on the show, because I think that would be an interesting perspective to have. I think that's it for the show. If you made it to the end, thank you. There should be a bonus episode on Patreon, the Patreon podcast feed, or if you're a premium Apple Podcast, by the time this goes up, there should be a bonus episode for you guys. If you want to listen to that bonus episode or listen to any of the bonus episodes, because there's at least one a month, if you subscribe on Patreon or Apple Podcasts, that will get you access to the current bonus episodes and all the old bonus episodes, supports the show, all that stuff. There will be a bunch of Patreon exclusives for August, since it is the World Championship. There will be daily Hawaii vlogs for all patrons. So if you're interested, those will be probably 5-6 minutes every day. I'm in Hawaii for people who want to know what happened. The reason I'm doing that is because so much happened in Japan. Like they brought me to Creatures, they brought me to a tea ceremony, they did all this stuff. I think they're going to do the same here for Hawaii. So if you want to get fresh thoughts and not wait a whole 2 weeks and then all of a sudden I forget, it's been almost a year and I feel like I really haven't talked about the Creatures experience because there's just so many other news. So if you want to support the show and get a bunch of exclusive stuff for August, I'm going to try to do a lot for Patreon coming next month. So good time to sign up for that and get your bonus episodes and your ad-free episodes, all that stuff. 14 years, a long time. And next year's 15. So we'll do something real fancy for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't
want
want
zeros now going forward. 5s and 0s.
5s and 0s. But yeah, that will be our show for the day. We'll be back next week, of course. And then
I will be in Gen Con next week. If you're at Gen Con and you want to say hi, I will be there wandering around. So you can say hi. I'll be there all 4 days.
And then you'll be at Dragon Con
at the
following
end
week?
of August. So I'll be
end of August. Okay, so it's not like you're going 2 weeks back to back.
Okay, no. Work would be like, you're fired. That's too much time. I do need to work in between there to afford to pay for these trips.
And Bobby doesn't leave his house, so
Good job, Bobby.
I will be in Chicago though in a couple weeks, but I won't have any time to do anything because of
not for
family
Pokemon.
stuff. So, but I am traveling, which is just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's our episode. Everything we talked about is in the show notes, like always. Thanks for making it to the end. If you want to comment on the episode and you're like, I don't know what to comment, if you are an artist, comment. I would love to hear your thoughts about the art contest. Even if you didn't submit, just how you feel about how this is going or the art, or maybe tell me what your favorite piece is. Please use the artist name, because just don't say Third Apsil. That's
but just say the artist name, please. It's listed.
But yeah, thank you for making it to the end. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Bobby. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
super effective.
Super. Win a contest for my new book. I will have details out. I promise to pay you money. I swear. It's totally legit. And I will also put your cards through an X-ray scanner to verify that they're
perfect.
AI.